Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a Call of Duty video sponsored of course by COD Gamepedia. Make sure you follow them in Twitter. You can see is at the bottom of the overlay. But of course this video is going to be covering CWL NOLA. What an event it was, honestly. One of the better Call of Duty events in recent time. So today I'm going to be going through my thoughts and kind of my opinions of the event. I'm going to keep most of the Pro League stuff out of this event for me because I will be making a Pro League video as well sometime probably this week / this weekend, just depending on how my schedule looks. But like I said, so I will have a Pro League video coming out soon-ish. But so for this video, I'm just going to be covering the event itself. So I'll start with 24th, so T24 and up, and I'm gonna breeze through most of these rosters because I don't really have anything to say. So obviously, EZG Esports gets 24th, 21 to 24. Don't really have anything to say about them. GGEA Blue, of course, made it into pool play, which is good to see. I mean, that's a team that's got some pretty decent top AM players who have been kind of on the cusp of pro status for some of them for a while. I mean, Johnny, of course, was in Pro League in Black Ops 3. A lot of these players have kind of, I believe Stamino and Fastball both have done some time near the Pro League in Infinite Warfare. And then Supreme Agility, I believe, is kind of new to the scene. And I know he finished top 16 with that BZ team, or a BZ team in the 2K. And so they, of course, he, of course, is a pretty decent player in this game. So they made it into the actual pool play, which was an impressive result for them, and something maybe for their roster to look forward to into, potentially making the open circuit and potentially trying to make it into stage 2 relegation from there. But Epsilon Esports is the other one, or is another one, top 24. They made Pro League, of course. Not much really to say about them. They made Pro League. They did what they had to do to make it, and that's basically all they did was do enough to make Pro League. Of course, Millennium is another team. They did not make the Pro League, which is unfortunate for them, and really sucks to not see Marky B in there, for example, a player who hasn't gotten maybe as much credit, in the recent times. Really didn't perform too well overall in Infinite Warfare, and really hasn't performed too well in this game. But, that's a lineup that's pretty good, that if they stay together, realistically, they definitely could challenge some of the European teams for that relegation spot into Stage 2. Moving on to 17 through 20, we have Team Vitality. Same thing as Epsilon for me. They make it. They do just enough to make Pro League. Nothing more, nothing less. So good for them. Congratulations. GGEA Orange, that's the Ex-Allegiance team. They make another pool play and then kind of fall out from there. These guys seem to be kind of the kings of open bracket. And consistently making it all the way through these open brackets, making it into the pool play. But they really haven't shown us anything spectacular in pool play since they did. Although they had some fairly decent performances this weekend in pool play, I would say. I believe they finished 1-3. If I'm not correct, I'm sorry about that. But either way, they finished 17th through 20th. And that's kind of the range I'd expect them. Maybe a little bit higher if they have an overperformance of some kind. But overall, pretty good performance for them. In Control Gaming, which of course is Legal, BL Fire, Havoc, and Mosh. Same thing for GGEA Orange for me. This is basically where I'd expect them to finish. Potentially a team that can do well in the open circuit. Potentially make some sort of run towards the top for this relegation. Realistically, I don't think so, but again, I'll keep most of my predictions for things like that into a later video. So for the sake of this tournament alone, basically where I'd expect them to finish, realistically, maybe even a little bit higher. Complexity Gaming is the final team that finished 17th through 20th, and of course, that was a huge underperformance on their part, and one that does end up keeping them out of the Pro League, which is really sad to see. Obviously, Parasite, for me, has been one of the best players in World War II since it's come out on an individual basis. And if a team is struggling that is in the Pro League, I wouldn't be necessarily completely surprised if Parasite does end up getting on a roster. The thing with this LAN league that doesn't help a lot of these non-Pro League players is because it is kind of a shorter league, unlike, for Black Ops 3, for example, we had a league spanning over multiple weeks. It was, the same kind of, it was like a standard league setup. This one is a little bit different because they're playing it on LAN, so they have to be much more concise with their time. That definitely does not help a lot of the players that are trying to get into Pro League that did not make it. But again, for this event alone, Complexity underperformed massively, in my opinion, and ultimately it has costed them a lot more than just this tournament. Lightning Pandas finished 13 through 16. They are the first team that I'm covering in this section. Lightning Pandas finished about where I would have expected them to, probably. Had a good chance to make Pro League. Unfortunately, did not make the most of the opportunity and did fall just a little bit short. But this is a team that should clean up in the Canadian national circuit. They should easily be the best team in Canada. And I don't know exactly how it works, if they will be able to play in America as well if they wanted to do that. I'm not entirely sure on how the open circuit system works. I'll have to look more into it, which I definitely will for the Pro League video. But Lightning Pandas, nevertheless, does finish 13 through 16. And again, pretty good performance from them, but not good enough to get them into Pro League. Unilad Esports, they do 13 through 16th as well. No surprise there for me. Unilad Esports is a top 16 team, probably, in my opinion. And, again, made the league spot, did enough to make it. They were pretty secure going into this event, being the third place team, but, they finished top 16, make Pro League, and that's basically all I can really say about them. Mind Freak, a little bit of an underperformance for Mind Freak in my opinion, but I know a lot of people would probably disagree with that. Most people are pretty high or pretty low on Mind Freak. I usually rate them fairly highly because I know that they have upset potential that we've just seen, not just from Mind Freak, but just from Australian teams in general in Call of Duty. But they didn't really do anything spectacular, and obviously they were completely locked in for Pro League, so they are good to go. 13 through 16 finish gets them into Pro League, which you already expected, and for me it's an underperformance overall for this event. And the last 13 through 16 team is E6, who had a better performance than Complexity, but essentially got the same result. They are held out of Pro League, and I don't know if I expect this team to stay together through the open circuit. And the only reason I say that is because I can confidently say that Dashi will be on a Pro League roster of some kind, whether that be, Doom Clan or I don't know, maybe Team Envious potentially. Those are kind of the two teams that I think probably could make a roster change before Pro League. So Dashi definitely has a chance to get onto the into the pro league, despite his team not making it. But overall for this event, little bit of an underperformance on my part, but generally speaking, probably right around to where I would have expected them to finish. Maybe top 12. I probably think they were better than Doom Clan on paper, but they just didn't perform well enough. And again, like Complexity, it does end up keeping them out of the pro league, which hurts them a little bit more than just finishing poorly at this event. So now moving into 9 through 12, we have Splice, who had a massive underperformance, and in my opinion, probably the second worst performance by a team based on where they were predicted to finish in at this event. And for me, they have nothing major to worry about. I think they should be fine going into Pro League. I doubt that this kind of performance will happen again in a scenario where they're finishing less than top 6 or top 8 even. But yeah, I mean, underperformance for them, but they were always going to make Pro League, so they make Pro League, and again, I really don't have anything too crazy to say about them besides that they just had an underperformance for the weekend, but I don't really expect it to happen again moving forward. So 9th through 12th is Doom Clan. Doom Clan finished, again, 9 through 12, and finished much higher than I expected them to. A great performance from them overall. I believe that, this roster kind of forms at the last minute, basically with the goal of making Pro League. They lose Blast to E6 because Blast feels he has a better chance. Doom Clan they basically just trade players. They dropped Bevels, I believe. Yeah, they dropped Bevels, pick up. So Doom Clan picks up Bevels, and then they end up making the Pro League in sensational fashion as well. Of course, they did what they had to do. They came to the event, outplaced Complexity, outplaced E6, outplaced the other teams except for Evil Geniuses, of course, that were trying to make it in from that kind of bubble position, and ultimately it does get them in Pro League. So a great performance from them, and I hope that they can continue that performance in Pro League, but we will see. We will see. So next up is Optic Gaming, and I don't have too much to say about Optic. Obviously, it's a massive underperformance. For me, the reasons I had predicted them to not do well, was kind of their overconfidence in some points, kind of like almost a cockiness that we saw to them at CWL Dallas. That was not the case at this event. I think they did their they played picks and bans pretty well, which you can probably credit to TP. That's kind of the positive of what he's done for coaching so far. And I know he had a tweet kind of joking about what a great coaching debut it was, but I don't know realistically how much you can put into TP for this one. Overall, for me, I think Optic probably should be fine again moving forward. And I'm planning on making a power rankings video as well to go with a Pro League video. So, 2 more Call of Duty videos coming out some point. And I'm excited to do that because I haven't really put much thought into it at this point. And it'll be interesting for me because I think this is finally going to be the first time basically since COD Champs and AW that we have a team, we have a team ranked higher in a power rankings leaderboard than Optic Gaming. So, just a massive underperformance from them, obviously, and clear struggles and inconsistencies for me from Optic that I'll talk about a little bit more in the power rankings video once I kind of do make that set list for myself to kind of bring to you guys. And then Team Envious finished 19th through 12th, or 9th through 12th, as well. Based on what I've seen so far from Team Envious, they don't look like they are good enough to compete the same way that this same roster did in Advanced Warfare. And I've basically fully lost faith in Team Envious with this lineup. I think a change needs to be made. I would love to see potentially Classic for maybe Parasite, although Parasite and Slasher probably wouldn't get along, so there's kind of a weird dynamic there. But more than that, probably Classic for Dashy. I think, again, I already talked about how much I think Dashy should be in Pro League based on just how good he is as an individual player statistically. And Team Envious for me is the obvious team to make a team change, and Classic for me is the obvious player to go. Not because he's necessarily performed the worst out of all of the players, but because I think Hugh and Temp have a sort of duo dynamic. And I think obviously you're not getting rid of Slasher. And having Slasher and Dashy on the same team as, two of probably the top 5 ARs in the whole game on the same team would be very scary. And I think Temp could easily switch between a sub and an assault rifle, and obviously Hugh has been running majority SMG, so he should not have a problem staying on the SMG. So again, Team Envious for me, they've hit their limit essentially, and it looks like they're going to be a top 8 team at best with this roster, so I'd love to see them mix it up before Pro League. But if I'm a betting man, I don't think that will happen. I think this team will probably stick it out for Pro League, and then if they have another bad performance, maybe then you finally make a team change. But yeah, I'd love to see them make a team change just based on the results we've seen so far. Moving on now to 7th, 8th, we have Evil Geniuses, who finally perform well. I mean, they finally have shown us they are a top 8 team. They come out here, they play great against big time competition. They, are a reason that a lot of teams at this event underperformed, because they were pulling off these upsets, beating these teams that earlier I would have predicted to be higher than them. And they ultimately they make the Pro League, which is the big thing for them. So they are in Pro League. They have, overperformed by most standards. And, I know all 4 of those players are going to be very happy that they were able to clutch up and make it into Pro League. And, great performance from them overall. So the other team is FaZe Clan. And FaZe Clan, it's a little bit of an underperformance for me. I probably would have said they're a top 6, top 4 team in this game going into the event. So a little bit of an underperformance, but a very good result for them still. And obviously they do make the Pro League. They were pretty much guaranteed a spot in, but it became official, I believe, after pool play on Friday, or maybe it was midway through Saturday when pool play was officially over. I can't remember for sure, but nevertheless, made Pro League. Had a little bit of underperformance, but overall a good event for them. And not too much to say about them. They should be good going into Pro League to make some waves in their group. And then 5th, 6th, E-United. E-United has a pretty good performance here, a top 6 for them. I probably would have said the limit for United, like the best they would probably finish is 3rd or 4th at an event. And so a top 6 performance for them is really good in my opinion. They looked, like I said, they looked pretty good. and they should be able to do some damage at Pro League for sure, but not too much for me to really say about them at this event in particular. And then the next team is Echo Fox, and if you recall my predictions video, you will know that I actually selected Echo Fox to make it out of Group D with Splice, excuse me. Of course, Splice didn't make it. It was E United who actually made it out. But I was kind of riding my dark horse all the way as far as they could take me. And Echo Fox had an outstanding event, finishing 5th, 6th. And basically the dynamics that I kind of talked about that I believed would work for them in my prediction video really did happen, which is a pat on the back, I guess, for myself. But more than that, I think they proved not only to me but to everyone that they are actually as good as I kind of believed they would be with this roster change, with the pickup of Aqua. And this is a team that can make a lot of waves when it comes to Pro League time. But talking specifically for this event, they did very well and maybe even overperformed to the regard that I was holding them to as a dark horse. So, cheers to Echo Fox. They did a great job at CWL NOLA. And then kind of breeze through Red Reserve. Great performance from them. Finally, a performance that I kind of expected them to have going into this year. I mean, Red Reserve for me, I thought potentially could have been better than Splice on paper going into the year. Overall, they're probably still the second best team in Europe. I don't think this performance puts them over Splice, but it was a good performance nonetheless, and a little bit closer to what I would have liked to see from them than CWL Dallas and some of the 2Ks they've played online. So again, not too much to say about them, but great performance overall, and of course they are in Pro League as well, so we'll see more of them soon. Third place, Rise Nation. This is a team that I was a little bit concerned about, but overall I think they were still really good. Obviously they went out and won a 2K, and I know I talked about this in the predictions video. Regardless of what you think about online play, if a team does come out and win a full 2K, they're a good team by any stretch of the imagination, no matter if they got lucky potentially in a match or in a specific game or something like that. Like, if you end up winning the whole tournament, you are considered a good team by my book, regardless of if it's online or LAN. So Rise Nation for me performed better than expected, but overall had a very good performance. And yeah, I mean, they made Pro League, obviously, and they will be another team kind of like Echo Fox to watch to see if they've got upset potential on some of these top teams. And Rise Nation and Echo Fox, honestly, you can probably put them near the top for top teams going forward in Call of Duty. And now I'm going to talk about the top two teams together, Luminosity and Team Caliber. And the reason I want to talk about them together is because, of course, I want to start by saying that Luminosity did finally snap TK's unbeaten series record on LAN in the grand finals. They played a great first best of 5, and honestly played a really good second best of 5 as well. I think TK, again, is still just too much for every other team right now, and they performed maybe not better than expected, but overall performed very well. Obviously they won the whole tournament. So Luminosity, for me, we saw at Dallas they underperform. They then go on and win that CWL Montreal Invitational, which of course didn't have TK or Optic in it. And, when I saw that event, I was like, okay, that kind of cements them for me as a top 5 team, because, they win an event where the top 3 teams from the previous LAN aren't even attending, and they win it. So what does that mean? Just based on math, that puts them at 4, right? So realistically, they're a top 5 team, and this event for me puts them basically at that range again, maybe more solid at top 4, top 3. And of course, like I said, I'll have a power rankings video coming out, and I'll do a lot more research and kind of give you some more in-depth statistics of why potentially I think that they're top 4 or wherever I end up placing them when I do sit down and make that kind of list. But overall, a good performance from them, and I do think that they played very, very well against Team Caliber despite the loss. And then just quickly to touch on Team Caliber, I know I talked about in the predictions video that I didn't think that they were the best team in Call of Duty. I still thought Optic was. For me, between the underperformance of Optic and obviously them being repeat LAN champions, they are the best team in Call of Duty now. I don't need to make a power rankings list to tell you that. I know that they will be number 1 on my power rankings list. They come into an event where everyone knows that they want to play Ardennes Forest. Everyone knows, that they don't really want to play London Docks. And, whether teams took that knowledge and used it or not is kind of iffy. And it's a team-by-team basis. But Team Caliber did outperform a lot of these teams on maps that we previously hadn't seen them play on LAN. I mean, obviously they didn't play London Docks at all until halfway through this tournament, and they didn't play London Docks at all at CWL Dallas. So, overall, we saw that TK, even though they do get rid of London Docks, it turns out that it's not because they're weak on London Docks, it's because they can ban your best map or the map that most teams want to play, and still outperform you on the other maps. And they outperformed Team Caliber they outperformed most of the teams at this event on London Docks as well. So overall, CWL NOLA, of course, was a great event. Like I said, some poor performances from some teams, but mostly the event itself was very exciting to watch. And I'm very excited going into Pro League to see some of these rosters compete, just more on LAN in more high-level competition. But overall, if you did like the video, please smash the thumbs up button. Please, like I said, subscribe, share it on Twitter, share it on the COD competitive Reddit. Of course, make sure you follow me on Twitter, so you can see in the overlay. I'll also put it in the description, as well as COD Gamepedia on Twitter. Their link will be in the description as well. And I hope you all have a good day, and we will see you for the next video, which should be either my power rankings video or my Pro League predictions. But again, till next time, we will see you.